Hello. What's going on? It's like, hi everybody. Sunny outside finally. Sunny outside finally. Sunny outside finally. Okay, that's working. Looks like that's working okay. Video is okay. Quality doesn't look great. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Should be able to. All right. Hello, everyone. So we'll give a couple seconds. Okay, great. Good. That's great to hear. I'm going to be kind of like keeping an eye over here on chat because I can see it over here, but my camera's over here and I want to see you guys. Okay, well, we're just going to kind of take a little bit of time. I thought I would just pop in live to kind of update you guys a little bit on what's going on. And I kind of want to start out with a prompt. So if you're watching this live, I'd love to hear, there's a lot going on right now, and I'm working on some videos to kind of help address what people are concerned about right now. And especially with lots of talk, especially if you're on YouTube, there's lots of talk of recession and the stock market crashing and kind of like a lot of doom and gloom, honestly, of kind of everything that's happening. And a lot of very legitimate stuff is happening in the world. Inflation, war, you name it, it's kind of going on right now. So I think, I thought I would take an opportunity to just kind of connect and say, what are your biggest concerns right now? Thinking about your businesses, what has you up at night? I think that's a good thing for us to kind of take some time to think about. And I have a video coming out this week that is going to be tips on, what to do in uncertain economic situations. I've got some tips for you guys on that, but I thought this would be a good time to maybe just connect live and hear, is there anything that's kind of very specifically concerning you right now? Because I thought maybe we could take a little bit of time and do a little bit of coaching on that. And we could talk through some things that we can do. What's in our control? That's, what we can control. We can't control a lot of things, but we can do some things to sort of help alleviate. So if you have any comments or you have something that you want to share, please put it in the chat. You can see that over on the right-hand side of the video. So you can chat there and then we can talk about anything. I'll also just give you guys a couple updates on Clara CFO group. So, and I'll just keep an eye on chat too. We've got some exciting stuff happening over here. The big news is that we have a new CFO joining our team in July. This is a gal that I worked with back at EY when I was working in public accounting, and she's had an amazing career, and now she's coming to work for us. So we are going to have her full-time joining the team. So if you need CFO services, or if you're looking for anybody or anybody who needs CFO services, she is going to be a fantastic small business CFO, and she's already been helping with clients. So we're really excited to have her on the team full time. We're also hiring for an administrative assistant. So we're hopefully hiring in the local Seattle area. But if we find somebody super great, I would be willing to explore outside of the area as well. So if you know of anybody, feel free to send them over to our way. As you know, it's hard hiring great people. And that's actually going to be a couple more topics in the coming months on tips on hiring and benefits and how to attract and retain great people. So that is in the works. We've got some great videos coming for you guys. Let's see. I also wanted to tell you guys about the offer that we have going on right now. If you are watching this live, maybe you're on the email list and maybe you're not on the email list. So if you are on the email list, you've probably been seeing some videos about the workshop bundle that we're selling currently. It is on sale right now, and this is the lowest price it will ever be. We've got over $800 of value in there, and it's currently selling for under $300. We have it priced at $277, but that price is going away on June 29th. June 29th. So we're ending that sale, and that's the last time it's ever going to be that low. We're throwing in with that, we've got a KPI workshop happening in July. We haven't touched on a lot of KPIs here on the channel, but we're definitely going to be starting to talk more about KPIs, but that will be a full workshop all about identifying and helping you understand what your key performance indicators are. And with your key performance indicators, that will tell you what you need to be tracking in order to be successful in your business. Really, really excited about that. And then, yeah, I'm going to answer some of these questions. Great. Keep the questions coming, you guys. If you're just joining, I'm seeing the numbers increase as I'm sitting here watching. So if you have questions, put them in the comment section and we're going to go answer those. But I was just telling you guys about the bundle of workshops. So please, if you're considering that, try to take advantage of the deal that we have, because we're not going to do another deal like this. And the price will definitely be more. I think we're going to price it at $4.95. So you get it just a little bit over half off if you go ahead and buy it now. But the value is there. And we've also got some live coaching that's going to be included in that as well, where you can answer specifically your questions. So check it out. The link is in the description box if you want to look at that. And then let me know if you have any questions specifically about the bundle. Okay, we've got a couple questions coming in, and then I've got a couple other things to talk to you guys about too, but let's address these. Okay, Joel says that inflation has made things much more challenging. We need EIDL forgiveness for all struggling businesses. You know, Joel, like, I would love to see that EIDL forgiveness. Curious what industry you're in, Joel. I was watching something today talking about inflation, and you know, I don't know if you guys are feeling this, but I'm definitely feeling it in food prices. I was watching this video that was talking about how farming and fertilizer, there's a decrease in fertilizer, and with the decrease in fertilizer, it's going to cost like the production of food to be that much more expensive. So we're seeing this kind of like, you're going to get kind of this you know, chain reaction of when that's more expensive, then food prices are going to be expensive, then restaurants are going to be more, you know, more expensive, and blah, blah, blah. I actually went out to dinner the other night and spent $22 for my child's meal. And it happened before I knew it. And then I was like, what is happening? And it was a bad decision, poor decision on my side, but I was like, $22 for a child's food. I just about lost it. But it was kind of an eye-opening moment. And I had been feeling it in restaurants, and I understand their rising costs with both labor and food. We're definitely going to see that be difficult for restaurants to deal with. But what that does is, like, discretionary spending becomes much more, a lot more pressure on discretionary spending is basically what we're seeing there. So, Joel, I'd be curious what industry you're in, if you're still here, and I want to kind of share with you guys, okay, there's a couple more questions. So one thing to keep in mind with small businesses is, you know, there might be a temptation with rising inflation to cut prices in order to get more customers in the door. And that's going to be a temptation, and it might be the right strategy for some people. So I don't want to say that that's not the right strategy, and you need to think about this for yourself. But so Michael Porter wrote the book Competitive Strategy, and it's over there, and I would grab it if I had thought about this a little bit earlier. But one of the biggest things that came out of that book for me was that small businesses really need to be focusing on differentiation strategies rather than price competitive strategies. And so when we're thinking about our small businesses right now, I would love for you to be thinking about, how am I different from my competitor? How am I different? Why would my customers come and talk to me instead of, you know, the other person down the street that could be providing a similar service or a similar product? or a similar space to walk into, so it's a good time now to maybe be considering, how am I different? And instead of maybe reacting to inflation in like a scarcity mindset, I think, let's react and say, okay, what is the core of our business? How are we different from other people? How can we double down into that, and how we can still like maintain a high price for what we're doing, a high enough price to tackle inflation and know that we're going to be able to survive. I know that might feel a little bit, it's going to take a little bit of work to think through that piece. It's not as easy as just saying, okay, raise your prices and, everything will be fine. It's like, if everybody does that, there is going to be some pullback of demand, right? So you have to think about, if you're going to be raising prices, how can you also continue to drive demand? And that can happen through differentiation. Okay. So thinking about that, I just, I don't know if that hits anybody a certain way, but I'd be curious to see if that could help. Okay. Kind of a unrelated question, but it still looks like somebody has a question that says, are there any considerations I should look into before accepting a position in California, as I do operate a small business in Arizona, W-2 wages in another state? So it sounds like you are going to be an employee in California, but you own a small business in Arizona. I don't think so. It'd be different if you're operating a small business in Arizona and you're wanting to hire people in California. Then you're going to have to be, considering paying taxes in California as the small business. But if the two positions are completely unrelated, I don't think it would matter. Are you going to be traveling to California? But if you're not traveling for the small business, if you're going to be sitting in California, but it has nothing related to the small business, I don't think you would need to be concerned. It shouldn't trickle over. If they're completely 100% separate, it shouldn't trickle over in any way. I could be wrong. I would say, yeah, okay, separate entirely. That's good. You do want to talk to a CPA. I know your name is not Fish Fat, but that's your YouTube handle. So I think that you would want to talk to a CPA just to double check me. I am not 100% familiar with the personal tax liability in those states, so I don't think it should. But you wouldn't want to start entangling your business with California without, fully understanding the implications there. But to me, it sounds like you shouldn't have any issues. Okay. If you're going to be sitting in California, you might need to be thinking about moving the small business center of your operations to California, if that's where you're going to be living. The headquarters might technically need to be in California, but not knowing the full situation, I would say you might want to talk to a CPA. I am a CPA, but a CPA who's dealing specifically in personal taxes. Okay. Yeah, hopefully that's helpful. All right. So Noble asks, how would we denote in the GL a market-based wage for owners who actively manages the recovery of a small business when cash flow doesn't support it currently? They aren't taking a market-based salary. Noble, what you could do is you could build up a liability. You could potentially have it kind of as a payable to the owner for their services. So it could be something that, let's say you are able to pay a wage of about $50,000 per month, and that's on W-2, but potentially like an actual market-based wage should be closer to 100,000 or so. You could potentially put that in there as a liability building up over time. So it would show, if you're doing it on an accrual basis, it would show as, you could put like a payroll accrual essentially and build up payroll expense. So on your P&L, if you're accrual basis, you would be putting a payroll accrual, and the expense would be like a market-based wage would be factored in, which is going to show you as having a loss for the year. But you would have a loss, and then that liability is going to be sitting on your balance sheet. If you're not accrual based and you're cash basis, you could document a loan or kind of a payable as separately outside of the GL. And you could be building that up. That would be my thoughts on that. Because if you're cash basis, it wouldn't show up on the P&L. And so it would just be a balance sheet effect. But I mean, I like the fact that you're considering this, Noble, because I think it's going to help you. I would almost want you to show it on your P&L that you're operating at a loss, because you're going to be more incentivized to actually price correctly and get your demand and the revenue up in order to pay the owner what they actually should be paid. So in some ways, I like the idea of putting the P&L pressure and making it look bad if you're looking at your P&L every single month, because you're going to be driven to actually change those numbers. Even if you're not paying out the cash to the owner, at least you're going to be seeing it. You could put in, if you are cash basis, you could also just put in an expense and kind of force it through a journal entry. You could put owner's expense, just create a new GL account. Now your CPA is going to yell at you at the end of the year, but you're going to say, hey, we just did it for operational purposes. We'll pull it out before you do the year-end tax return. But you could put in that $5,000 every month. And I'm just using $5,000 as an example. You could put that in there every single month so it shows on the P&L, and then just have the offsetting entry go to the liability. So it would be a debit to some type of owner's expense or owner's pay, and then a credit to, would be an expense line item, not an equity transaction. And then the liability would be to the loan that's, essentially a payable to the owner, and that would build up over time. Does that make sense? Let me know. So I see what you're trying to say, and hopefully that makes sense. Curious if there's anything else that you guys are thinking about right now that's kind of concerning you, anything that you're thinking about going into the end of this year, going into next year, business challenges, things that you're concerned about. I'll give you an example while we're kind of waiting for some more questions. I had a client call actually this morning where we're trying to predict, we're forecasting into 2023 what her business is going to do. And her business has been growing 60% year over year. And she's starting to get to that feeling, and it's a just discretionary business. So I think her concern is that in recession, that discretionary spending is going to be going down. But at the same time, we kind of think like, yes, the growth rate might slow down, but we're not exactly sure how much it's going to slow down. So what we were working on is we were actually working on forecasting in a couple different scenarios. And if you guys see some of my content that's coming out right now, this is kind of my number one tip in uncertainty, is to just do a bunch of scenario planning. And so what we're doing for her is, she's been at traditionally a 60% growth rate. For next year, we're planning for like kind of a, optimistic, we're thinking a 40% growth rate for next year. And that's just kind of based on like where we know her market sort of is, and seeing kind of like some slowing in the new customer attraction. 40% growth rate for next year. And then we also are estimating a 20% growth rate for next year when we're doing scenario planning. So we're doing a 40% scenario, a 20% scenario, and then we're going to probably do like a 0 growth scenario, which would be kind of like a worst case scenario, honestly, for her. We can also like put it down and actually have her decline a little bit. But What we're doing is we're saying like, what does cash do in this scenario, this scenario, this scenario? And we're making decisions based off of that, because what we're finding is that even in an almost no growth scenario, she's still going to be able to do the things that she wants to do. And then take home the money that she needs to take home, and a couple other things that, we have strategic initiatives and whatnot. But it's really great to be able to see, and also kind of alleviate her fears, because I think in uncertain times, there's a lot of fear that happens and a lot of sleep that is lost. So if I can show her, even in like a worst case scenario, when we're talking about a growth percentages, she's still able to do the things that she wants to do. It helps alleviate a lot of fears. So I highly recommend doing some cash flow forecasting for different scenarios, and have a version. Have like your main version, and then you can have like a best case scenario and a worst case scenario. So really like that for overall uncertainty planning. And our video this coming week is going to be talking about that. And if you are here and you haven't already liked the video, could you do that for me? It would be super helpful, because it does help the video get seen by other people. Thank you. I saw a little uptick. All right. Okay. Thanks, Noble, for following up on that. Okay. Anything else you guys have? Anything else you guys have? Sorry. Got the echo chamber. What am I doing? Hannah needs to stop clicking things. Okay. All right. Seeing, okay, likes on the videos. Thank you so much. Another thing I wanted to tell you guys about, and I'm going to do a couple of shorts on this, is this book. Have you guys read this? It's a great resource. It's actually kind of more about like how you deal with money, both in a personal and like a business side. Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel. I'm going to put it right here so you can see. It looks like that's coming through okay. If you are interested in learning more about how you interact with money, this book is very, very interesting. And it actually reads really easy too. It's like little tiny chapters that are each like little lessons. And it kind of talks a little bit too about really like once you have money, how you can deal with it. So this is something I'm reading right now, and I'm going to do a couple of shorts on some of my favorite lessons out of this. But I just want to share that as a resource because I'm learning it, and I thought you guys might like it too. Another book I'm reading, actually just finished reading, was this one. This is kind of more woo-woo-y. I'm usually not like a big woo-woo person. I wouldn't call this woo-woo. It's kind of more, it's kind of mindset stuff. But The Big Leap, Gay Hendricks. This is another one. If you're kind of looking at like maybe how to kind of take things into the next level of your life, it's interesting. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs would really resonate with this book. So I thought I'd share with you guys what I'm reading, because I'm always kind of trying to think about like what to do next. I'm also reading This is Marketing by Seth Godin, also a great book, but I'm still working through that one. So I might have some tips from that when I get done. All of these things, we're always constantly learning and growing over here, and that is the goal. And if you have any really great recommendations, I would love to hear what books you're loving, and because I'm always picking up books and also trying to like recommend them to people as things go. Okay. Okay. Question. Another question. This is kind of a just sort of a business question. Let's see. So Quicken Desktop allows for multiple businesses. Does Quicken Online allow multiple, or do you pay for each? So I think you're talking about QuickBooks. Noble, is that right? QuickBooks Desktop. I think I don't use desktop, so I'm not sure how QuickBooks Desktop. I think you have to buy QuickBooks Desktop per company. I don't think you can do multiple companies anymore. Am I wrong about that? I don't use it, so I really don't know, and I haven't bought it in a long time. I should go and talk to Hector Garcia about that. For QuickBooks Online, you have to have a separate license for each business. So I wouldn't recommend trying to even use it to show. I mean, there's probably some way you could do a workaround with like classes where if you maybe only had this, like if you had one bank account and one credit card associated to one business and one bank account and one credit card associated to a different business, you could maybe get a P&L by class, which could be by company, but you would have a combined balance sheet. So I really wouldn't recommend that. It would certainly not be a great way to manage both businesses. I would recommend just doing a separate QuickBooks account for each. When it comes to QuickBooks, I don't like the fact that we have to pay for every single thing. I wish that they had kind of some, revenue threshold or something. But, there is the option of using something like Wave if you have like a really tiny business. Like my daughter is in Girl Scouts and I'm the treasurer of our troop. And I was trying to decide whether to use QuickBooks or to just use Wave. But for 1 or 2 transactions a month, I ended up just doing it in Wave because I'm doing it all like really manually and I didn't want to have the expense. But for the time saving, when we start moving to like cookie sales season, I'm probably going to move over to QuickBooks just from a time saving perspective because I don't like the efficiency of Wave. I don't find, even though it's free, I don't find it worth my time. So I think it's kind of like, how many transactions are there and who's in charge of it and what makes sense for you guys. But you probably need to have a separate account for every single company. I know that's not what anybody wants to hear, but QuickBooks Intuit is also very smart business people. And they know the workarounds for that. Okay. Akasha Business Services. Are the workshops for business owners or bookkeeping professionals as well? I'm wondering about the depth of knowledge provided. Yeah, great question. I have a lot of accountants that actually take my courses and workshops. I think it helps to have a certain level of like understanding of the financials to be able to take the next step. So our workshops are for people who already kind of have some financial foundation, like they should have some bookkeeping in place. And then our workshops are taking the next step. So they're helping people figure out how to plan for the next period of time in their business. They are helping people with the cost of hiring. And then they also, we get into cash flow forecasting. We talk about how to improve cash flow. And then we're going to do the KPI workshop, which is going to be in July. I think that they're a really great idea for bookkeepers to participate in because it could potentially help you provide additional value to your clients. If you get really comfortable doing cash flow forecasting all the time, or if you can be seen as more of an advisor, which I think all of the tips that I'm trying to provide to people are really help advising small businesses. And if you could be an advisor, you could potentially start charging more to your clients because a lot of times bookkeepers are not seen as advisors to their clients. They might be seen as like, compliance or, hey, this is kind of a necessary thing I know we have to do. But if you could start adding on advisory calls, or if you could maybe make recommendations to your business owner on how they could improve cash flow, you could be seen as a more valuable team member. And then you can also warrant higher prices. So I think it's a great idea for all bookkeepers to take these types of courses because it can help them think, how can I provide more value to my customers and to my clients? And I think that's a win-win for a really low price, you could potentially be reaping the benefits for a really long time. So there for both is the answer to the question. But hopefully that helps and kind of you helping make your decision on what you'd like to do. And maybe you're already providing some of these services, and then maybe it could just be both like validation that you're doing it the way that it works for other people as well, but also providing additional tips on how to plan for businesses. So yeah, I usually have a couple accountants in pretty much every workshop that I have, accountants and bookkeepers. So that just seems to be how it goes. So. And I'm happy to teach everybody, but you don't have to have that background, but it certainly does help if you understand some of the language. But I try to make and tailor all of my workshops to where they stay away from jargon, and we're not kind of just like bombarding you with a bunch of accountant words that are very boring. So I try to make them interesting, for everybody. All right. If anybody has any more questions, let me know. I have a couple other, I think I did. Okay. Oh, another question. Workshops. Okay. It's the only live workshop, and let me pull this up for you. Make sure I am getting my dates right. The live workshop is the KPI workshop. So everything else has been pre-recorded. They were done live and then edited out, like so that they can be done at any point in time. So the 3 workshops that are pre-recorded are the profit planning workshop, the planning for hiring workshop, and the cash flow forecasting workshop. And then KPI workshop is going to be live, and that will be recorded. So if you can't make it live, it still will be recorded and available to you. That is on July 20th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. And those usually, the workshop portion lasts at least an hour. I think we have this scheduled for 75 minutes total. And the way that we do our workshops, and this is even in the recorded workshops, is we usually have spreadsheets available for you to work on this like while we're teaching. So we teach a concept, I'll teach a concept, and then we might take like 5 to 10 minutes for you to actually like implement what's going on, and then get into the next subject and take some time to implement. So that's been one of the things that people have given feedback about that they really like, is that we actually take time to implement during these workshops, because it's really easy to kind of like just, I can preach at you guys, tell you a bunch of stuff. That's what we do on YouTube, right? We talk a lot, but then we're not actually like taking action. And that's what I want for you guys, is like the next step, like actually take action, do something that will change your business. And so the workshops, we actually sit down and do that. And all of the workshops also have spreadsheets and other things available and tools to help you kind of fast track some of that as well. So hopefully that's helpful. And then the Q&A times, I've got 2 live Q&A times scheduled as well. These will not be recorded because they will be more kind of personalized to whoever shows up on the call. And so we got 2 live coaching sessions that are available, and they are going to be, I've got one date in July and one date in August, and I'm going to tell you those dates. And, if we have enough people sign up, I'm just going to add more Q&A dates. So if we need to do that, I would definitely add more time. Let's see, we've got another comment. Okay, Joel says, I'm a bookkeeper and has jumped into a few of Hannah's trainings to grow my advisory skills. It's given me a boost in confidence. Well worth it. Well, thank you, Joel. Thanks for the plug. I appreciate it. Yeah, Joel's growing his bookkeeping business, and he's definitely becoming that like strategic advisor for his clients as well. And what happens, and this is why we want to provide advisory services, is it allows you to charge more when you are seen as more of an advisor to your clients. You can charge more when they see you as really helping their business. And so adding on and building your advisory muscles is extremely helpful overall. And it's going to pay dividends years into the future, because bookkeeping by itself, and this gets into that strategy conversation we had at the very beginning, bookkeeping by itself can be a race to the bottom in pricing. If you're not differentiated in any way, and I'm not talking about branding, because branding's great and you can have a pretty website and everything, but what I'm talking about, what is the service that you're providing at the end of the day? If you're not doing anything else besides just straight QuickBooks coding, people are going to shop based on price. And they're not going to be shopping based on, necessarily you as a person or the advice you're giving. They're going to shop based on price. And I want you to be able to charge what you're worth and charge a price that makes sense for you to build your business. And if you're not providing some advice on that, it's going to be harder to kind of maintain higher prices on your bookkeeping services if that's all there is. So something to keep in mind for sure. And I was looking up the dates, the workshops. So we've got July 27th at 10 a.m. And then we've got August 17th at 9 a.m. Pacific. So those are also available for Q&A. So, all right, I'm going to give another minute for questions, and then I'm going to sign off and let you guys go back to your week over here if there's nothing else. But I would love to have you guys join if anybody's interested in the workshop bundle. The link is in the description box below, so you can grab it there. And then the price will be changing after the 29th, so make sure you use it beforehand. And the way that we have it showing right now, it doesn't show what the price will be. It's just showing the current price. And then it's also how long do we have access to the workshops? They are available in perpetuity. So right now I don't have any plans to take them down. So I would say lifetime access. We might be transferring to a different system, but if we transfer to a different system, you will still have access to the workshops. And they are meant for one access. So if you're a bookkeeping company, it's meant for one access for your bookkeeping company, not necessarily for your clients, but use the tools, use them for, enhancing your own business. And then, you can help your clients that way. But that is how the workshops work. So lifetime access for the workshops. And I'm looking at comments, seeing if there's anything else. I think I've covered it all. Suppose I can look at my other screen now. All right, you guys. Thank you, Noble. Yes, absolutely. I think, it's funny because sometimes I tell clients not to discount certain things. But I was really excited just to think about when I was doing these workshops, I was like, you know what? I want you guys to have these tools. I want you to have the tools and I want to get people excited about them. I also want, here we are at the end of Q2. Let's go into Q3 prepared with plans, prepared with forecasting tools, prepared with what we need to conquer, upcoming uncertainty. And I'm really excited about that. Might not help your cash flow, but mine. Yeah. I want, anytime people spend money on my stuff, I want it to help their bottom line at the end of the day. That's always even with CFO services, it's if I'm not making you more money, we're not doing our job. So that's the goal with all of our services, is to hopefully make you be more financially successful with what you've got. And that's why we have all these conversations about pricing and strategy and where you're placing yourself. And I think it's an important conversation. I'm excited to keep having it with you guys. Thank you for being here on the channel. I appreciate you guys' time. and really looking forward to having you guys in the live KPI workshop. That will be in July. It's part of the bundle. So when you get the bundle, you'll see there's a live webinar link in there. So you'll already have access to that. That by itself is $197. Those workshops are priced at $197. So you basically get everything else for $80 if all you wanted was the KPI workshop. So all right, you guys, well, I will let you go. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you being here on the, on a live. I like doing lives, even if it just is me blabbering. I like doing these. So if you like them, let me know and I will do more of them. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everybody.